Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 7 of Import Nights, the review series for GranTurismo's selection of generally really popular JDM performance cars. And Japan has a very strong selection of performance cars on offer, and many of them are also really good value because they don't tend to cost all that much, not just on the game, but also to some degree in real life as well. Now, this particular model that we're featuring is one of the strongest in terms of pure straight line performance of this entire series. It's not the fastest, but it's definitely up there with the best of them. It's the Mitsubishi 3000GT or the GTO. Now, there are a number of different models of this car on the game. Some are naturally aspirated, some are turbocharged, some have slightly different looks. But for the sake of the review, we are reviewing the GTO in its newest form, the newest shape model. Now, it's to be noted that some of the older models, most notably the version with the projector-style headlights, does have more power than this car. However, in terms of pure performance, pretty much all of the more powerful ones have very similar performance overall, even though some do have a slightly better spec. I've chosen to review this model because it's one of the better all-round ones. It has the newer looks, it's pretty much the latest model you can get, and it's just as strong as any of the others, even though it doesn't necessarily have quite as much power. Now, not quite as much power is a very loose term on this car, because 938 horsepower isn't exactly lacking, and that's the power that this car puts out. Alongside that, it puts out 775 foot-pounds of torque from a twin-turbo 3-litre engine. Now, it's all-wheel drive, which isn't surprising for Mitsubishi, and as a result of that, for pure drag performance, especially off the line, but also actually for top speed, this is an extremely strong car. One of the strongest, in fact. The Supra is a great car for top-end performance. The Skyline is a great car for low-end performance. The 300ZX is a strong car for mid-range and top-end performance. This car, though, kind of trumps them all, because not only does it have that strong top-end, but it's also strong off the line. Most of the others tend to be good at one or the other. This car is good at both. Now, it's not necessarily the quickest off the line, although it is up there. For top speed, though, it's definitely not. That being said, this car can be tuned in its fully upgraded form to do around 283, 285-ish miles per hour under its own power. No NOS, no draft, and that is strong. That's roughly the same kind of top-end performance as you get from the newer shape 300ZX. Not quite as strong as the Supra, but still very strong overall. Now, in terms of handling, I would actually say, in that regard, that's one of the best things about this model, because of course the straight line speed is fantastic, but pretty much everyone already knows that. What isn't as easy as making a strong straight line car is making a car that's fast in a straight line, but that's also easy to drive and actually has good handling. This car does. It actually has incredibly good handling, and it's surprisingly forgiving. That is partially due to the fact that it is all-wheel drive, of course, and all-wheel drive performance cars do generally give you a little bit more leeway to work with than a rear-wheel drive in terms of what they will allow you to do without spinning out and crashing. Now, add on top of all the previous spec that we've mentioned the fact that this car only costs just under 40 grand, and the value for money on this car is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely up there with cars like the Skyline and the Supra. It's a very strong all-round machine. Now, as far as weight, it does have a little bit more weight to carry than some others. It weighs 1,337 kilos, so it's not as light as some, but given the fact that the GTO or 3000GT is a larger car than you would typically expect from Japan, it's also got quite a bit of tech packed into it, similar to a Skyline, and it is all-wheel drive after all, which adds even more weight. So actually, that weight isn't too bad. And as far as horsepower per tonne, it doesn't hurt the car at all, because it still puts out 702, thanks to that massive power. Overall then, it pretty much goes without saying, you should definitely buy this car. And that's coming from someone who isn't even the biggest fan of this car. I'm not a fan of the 3000GT or the GTO in particular. What I am a fan of, though, is the performance that it gives you. They are seriously quick, and they can outrun and in fact absolutely wipe the floor with cars which cost significantly more, even within the JDM class. And the JDM class is a very strong one in terms of pure performance. So in terms of when to use this car, well, that's another great thing about it. The Supra is good, the Skyline is good, but pretty much all JDM cars have some kind of downside, and even this one does. As we mentioned, it's a little bit heavier than some. But the great thing about it overall is how good it is in pretty much every way. It's fast in a straight line for top-end speed, but it also has that low-end acceleration and the handling. And it's also easy to drive, which means that regardless of tyres, regardless of how much or how little power you have, and even regardless of circumstance, be it road racing or rally, it will pretty much always be what you need it to. And it also makes a pretty good drift car as well. So overall, the 3000GT or GTO is pretty much the perfect foil to vehicles like the Skyline and the Supra, and although it's perhaps not as popular a choice as those, it can definitely run up there with them. So, it goes without saying that you should definitely check out this car, and that's it overall for this particular episode, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.